Exclusive. Leaked. And honestly, this is one of those stories that sounds too wild to be real, but the internet is saying it is. Because what just surfaced involving King Harris, T.I., and 50 Cent has completely flipped the narrative, and people are calling this one of the most uncomfortable family moments to ever hit hip-hop social media. It all started with a clip. Short, blurry, but loud enough to shake everything. In the video, King Harris is seen going off, speaking boldly, confidently, and not holding back, especially when it comes to 50 Cent. But what nobody expected. What happens next? Because just seconds into the clip, everything shifts. A sudden moment. A reaction. And according to what people are claiming online, that's when things turned physical. Now here's where it gets crazy. Because instead of this situation staying private, it exploded. Not only did the clip spread like wildfire, but what followed made it even worse. King Harris didn't stay silent. He didn't back down. He didn't respectfully move on. Instead, he allegedly exposed something. Something about T.I. Something fans were not ready to hear. And now the internet is asking one question. Did this just go from discipline to betrayal? Because leaked messages, alleged voice notes, and insider claims are now painting a picture that's way deeper than a simple father-son disagreement. This isn't just drama. This is legacy. This is respect. This is family, playing out in front of millions. And trust me, what we're about to break down next, it only gets more intense from here. To really understand why this situation hit as hard as it did, you have to step back and look at the bigger picture. Because this wasn't just about one clip. This wasn't just about one moment. This was years in the making. And it involves three names that already carry weight on their own: King Harris, T.I., and 50 Cent. Now let's start with T.I. Because when you talk about T.I., you're not just talking about a rapper, you're talking about a figure who built an image around control, intelligence, and authority. For years, he's been seen as someone who moves strategically. Whether it's music, business, or even how he presents his family to the public, everything feels calculated. And a big part of that image: fatherhood. T.I. has always been vocal about being a present, guiding, and structured parent. He's spoken about discipline, about lessons, about preparing his kids for the real world. And for a long time, that image held strong. But then came King Harris. Because King didn't grow into the spotlight quietly. He didn't take the stay low, stay respectful route people expected. He came in loud, confident, and unapologetically himself. From Instagram lives to public interactions, King built a reputation for speaking his mind, even when people didn't agree with him. And that's where things started getting complicated. Because the internet doesn't just watch, it judges. Every clip, every comment, every reaction. People began forming strong opinions about King Harris. Some saw him as real. Others saw him as reckless. And over time, that tension between how he saw himself and how the public saw him only grew. Now add 50 Cent into the mix. Because when it comes to 50 Cent, you're dealing with someone who thrives on commentary. He doesn't just observe situations, he amplifies them. He jokes. He trolls. He responds in ways that turn moments into headlines. And his history with T.I., let's just say it's not exactly quiet. There have been multiple moments where both names ended up in the same conversation, sometimes subtle, sometimes direct, but always with underlying tension. Because both represent power in different ways. T.I., structured, calculated, legacy-focused. 50 Cent, unpredictable, outspoken, and unafraid to poke at anything. So when King Harris started speaking on things publicly, it didn't take long before his name started getting pulled into those same circles of conversation. And once that happens, everything becomes amplified. Now here's where the situation starts to feel inevitable. Because over time, there have been moments where King Harris publicly pushed back, not just against critics, but against narratives. Narratives about his upbringing, his lifestyle, his relationship with his father. And every time he did that, people paid attention. Because it didn't always match the image that had been presented before, which created a gap. A gap between perception and reality. And when that gap exists long enough, eventually, something exposes it. Now let's talk about the internet's role in all of this. Because social media doesn't just observe conflict, it fuels it. Every comment gets clipped. Every reaction gets reposted. Every moment becomes content. And when you have someone like King Harris, who engages, who responds, who doesn't shy away from confrontation, it creates a loop. Reaction, response, repost, repeat. And that loop builds pressure. So by the time this latest situation happened, the environment was already set. People were already watching closely. Already waiting for the next moment. Already expecting something to happen. And then it did. Because according to what started circulating online, King Harris didn't just speak on 50 Cent. He went in. Confidently. Publicly. And that alone was enough to get attention. But the real tension came from what followed. Because when you're connected to someone like T.I., your words don't just reflect on you. They reflect on the family, the brand, the image. And that's where things started to clash. Because from one perspective, King was just speaking his truth. From another, he was stepping outside of a controlled narrative. And when those two perspectives collide, conflict isn't far behind. And according to fans and insiders watching this unfold, that conflict had been building quietly for a while. Small disagreements, differences in approach, moments that didn't make headlines but still mattered. Until finally, something triggered it publicly. And once it went public, there was no controlling it. Because now the internet had it. And once the internet has something like this, it doesn't let go. It analyzes. It speculates. It amplifies. And that's exactly what happened here. Because what started as a comment turned into a reaction. And then into something much bigger. Something that didn't just involve opinions, but actions. And what allegedly happened next is what turned this situation from tension into full-blown controversy. And trust me, once you hear how it unfolded, you'll understand why people are saying this changes everything. And this is where everything completely spirals out of control. Because what started as just another bold statement from King Harris quickly turned into something nobody expected, and honestly, nobody was ready for. It all begins with that clip. The one that spread across Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter within minutes. In the footage, King Harris is seen speaking confidently, almost aggressively, about 50 Cent. Not joking. Not subtle. Direct. And according to viewers, the tone wasn't playful, it was confrontational. People immediately started screen recording, reposting, tagging blogs, and within minutes, the captions started flooding in. Did King Harris just call out 50? This about to get messy. T.I. got a step in. But nobody expected what happened next. Because midway through the clip, there's a shift. You can hear movement. A voice in the background. Tension. And then, suddenly, King Harris stops mid-sentence. His expression changes. The energy drops. And according to multiple viral reposts, that's when the alleged incident happens. Now here's where things get controversial. Because while the video itself cuts off at a critical moment, several slowed-down versions started circulating with captions claiming that T.I. physically stepped in. Some users claimed you could hear a sharp sound. Others claimed King's reaction said everything. And within minutes, the narrative took off. T.I. just smacked King on live. The internet exploded. Fan pages went into overdrive. Comment sections turned into war zones. Some people defended T.I., saying it was discipline. Others were shocked, saying it crossed a line. But here's the part that made it even worse. Because instead of going quiet, King Harris came back. Not hours later. Not the next day. Almost immediately. And this time, he wasn't just talking about 50 Cent anymore. He was talking about his father. That's when things crossed into dangerous territory. Because a second clip surfaced. Different angle. Different setting. But the same energy, intense. In that video, King allegedly says something that made people stop scrolling. Y'all don't even know what really go on behind closed doors. That line alone sent shockwaves. Because now this wasn't about a moment. This was about a pattern. And then came the first major twist. Screenshots. Leaked messages. Allegedly from a private conversation. Now nobody can fully verify them, but that didn't stop them from spreading. One message, circulating heavily, allegedly shows King texting someone. He always trying to control everything. It ain't about respect, it's about image. Another message reads, "I've been quiet too long. Not this time." Those two lines, they changed everything. Because now the narrative flipped. This wasn't just a father correcting his son. This looked, at least to some people, like a son pushing back against something deeper. And the internet took sides instantly. Team T.I. Team King. No middle ground. Meanwhile, things got even more chaotic when audio clips started surfacing. Short. Grainy. Unconfirmed. But explosive. One alleged voice note, claimed to be King Harris, said, "I'm not finna keep playing this role for the internet." That phrase, playing this role, sparked a whole new conversation. What role? What image? What exactly was he referring to? Now people weren't just watching. They were investigating. Digging up old clips. Old interviews. Old family moments. Looking for signs that something had been off all along. And just when it felt like the situation couldn't get any more intense, 50 Cent entered the chat. Not directly. But in a way only he does. A post. A caption. Subtle, but loud. He shared a meme. A father-son joke. But the timing. Too perfect. Too calculated. Fans immediately connected it. 50 trolling King and T.I. He not gonna let this go. This about to turn into a full beef. And just like that, the situation expanded. Now it wasn't just internal. It was external. Public. Explosive. Because now you've got a viral clip of a heated moment. Allegations of something physical. Leaked messages suggesting deeper issues. And a third-party celebrity known for stirring things up, watching it all unfold. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. Late that night, another video surfaced. Short, dimly lit, but clear enough to recognize the voice. And in that clip, King Harris allegedly says something that changed the tone completely. "I shouldn't have said what I said, but that don't mean I was wrong." That sentence confused everyone. Was he apologizing? Or doubling down? Was he backing off? Or sending another message? Because if you listen closely, it doesn't sound like surrender. It sounds like warning. And that's when people started asking the real question. Is this just the beginning? Because if this situation is already this messy, what happens when more comes out? And according to insiders, there's a lot more that hasn't surfaced yet. And what's coming next might be the part that nobody can defend. And just when people thought this situation had already hit its peak, that's when it exploded into something way bigger than anyone expected. Because overnight, this stopped being just a viral clip and turned into a full-blown internet investigation. We're talking Twitter threads going viral, TikTok breakdowns hitting millions of views, fan pages dissecting every second of every video like it was evidence in a courtroom. And right at the center of it all, King Harris, T.I., and lurking in the background, 50 Cent. Now here's where things take a darker turn. Because a thread started circulating late that night. And this wasn't just any thread. This was one of those insider posts. The kind that claims to come from someone close to the situation. No verified identity. No proof. But detailed enough to make people pause. The thread started with one line. "You're focusing on the wrong moment. This didn't start tonight." And immediately, people locked in. Because the thread didn't talk about just the alleged incident. It went deeper. It claimed that tension between King Harris and T.I. had been building behind the scenes for months. Quiet disagreements. Arguments about image. Clashes over control. But the most shocking part. The thread alleged that what happened on that viral clip wasn't the first time things got physical. Now again, this is all unverified. But that didn't stop the internet from running with it. Because once that idea was planted, everything changed. Old clips started resurfacing. Moments people once ignored suddenly looked different. Fans started pointing out awkward energy in past videos. Body language. Tone shifts. Little things that now felt bigger. And then came the next bombshell. Because another alleged leak dropped. This time, a transcript. Supposedly from a private conversation. And whether real or not, the impact was instant. The transcript included a line attributed to King Harris that read, "I'm tired of being told who I gotta be for the brand." That word, brand, set everything on fire. Because now the conversation shifted again. This wasn't just about discipline. This wasn't just about respect. This was about identity. Was King Harris being molded into something he didn't want to be? Was everything people saw online curated? And if so, who was controlling it? Then things got even messier. Because fan pages started comparing timelines. They noticed that certain posts had been deleted. Certain captions edited. Certain moments erased. And that only added fuel to the fire. Because now it looked like something was being cleaned up. Quietly. Strategically. And whenever the internet senses a cleanup, it assumes there's something to hide. Meanwhile, 50 Cent decided to step a little closer into the chaos. Not directly naming anyone, but definitely not staying out of it. He posted another message, this time more pointed. A caption that read, "Some people can't handle when the truth start leaking." No names, no tags, but everyone knew exactly what people were connecting it to. And that's when things went from messy to explosive. Because now, instead of just reacting, fans started choosing sides aggressively. You had people saying, T.I. built everything, of course he wants control. Others fired back, control isn't the same as respect. Then another wave came in. King Harris, just ungrateful. Followed immediately by, or maybe he just finally speaking up. It wasn't a conversation anymore. It was a war. And right in the middle of that war, another video surfaced. This one wasn't loud. It wasn't confrontational. It was quiet. Too quiet. In the clip, King Harris is sitting alone. No background noise. No audience. Just him. And he says one sentence that sent chills through the internet. Everybody think they know what's going on, but they only see what they're allowed to see. That line. That's when everything flipped again. Because now it felt intentional. Calculated. Like he was hinting at something bigger, without fully saying it. And that's when the second shocking reveal hit. Because according to a new insider leak that started trending right after that video, there's allegedly footage. Not the viral clip everyone saw. Not the short snippets. But a longer, uncut version of what actually happened that night. And according to this claim, the version that went viral is incomplete, edited, missing context. Now nobody has confirmed this footage exists. But the idea alone was enough to send everything into overdrive. Because if there really is a longer version, then everything people think they know could be wrong. Was the situation escalated? Was something taken out of context? Or was something worse removed? And that's the question nobody can answer right now. Because if that footage drops, it could completely change who people side with. And judging by how intense things already are, that reveal might not just shift opinions. It might blow this entire situation wide open. And this is the point where the situation stopped being just hip-hop drama and turned into a full-scale cultural moment. Because everywhere you looked, this story was there. Twitter, trending. TikTok, flooded. YouTube, breaking it down in real time. And the reactions, completely divided. You had one side of the internet riding hard for T.I. They were saying things like, "He's the father. Period. Y'all don't understand discipline. He built a legacy, he's protecting it." To them, this wasn't controversial. It was necessary. They saw it as a parent stepping in before things spiraled out of control publicly. But then you had the other side. And they were loud. They were defending King Harris. He's grown. He has his own voice. You can't control someone forever. And this side wasn't just reacting, they were analyzing. Breaking down every clip. Every word. Every alleged message. Trying to piece together what they believed was a bigger story about control, pressure, and identity. And then came the neutral crowd. The observers. The ones who weren't picking sides, but asking questions. What really happened off camera? Why did this escalate so fast? Why does it feel like we're missing something? Those questions started trending too. Because the more people watched, the more it felt incomplete. Now here's where things reached another level. Because once the internet gets loud enough, the industry starts listening. And that's exactly what happened. First, it was subtle. A few influencers posting vague reactions. One content creator tweeted, "Some of these family moments ain't as simple as they look." That tweet alone got hundreds of thousands of likes. Then came podcast clips. Hosts debating the situation like it was a live case study. One viral segment had a host saying, "There's a difference between raising someone and controlling their narrative." That line, clipped, reposted, debated everywhere. And just like that, the conversation shifted again. This wasn't just about what happened. It was about what it meant. Then came the memes. Because no matter how serious things get, the internet always finds a way to turn it into content. There were side-by-side comparisons. Old clips vs new clips. Captions like, "Before vs after speaking your mind." Some were funny. Some were uncomfortable. But all of them kept the story alive. And then 50 Cent made his most noticeable move yet. Not a meme. Not a vague caption. But a post that people couldn't ignore. He shared a clip, not directly related, but the caption read, "Some lessons hit harder than others." That one line blew everything up again. Because now it didn't feel subtle anymore. It felt intentional. Calculated. Like he was watching everything unfold. And choosing exactly when to step in. And that's when fans started tagging him everywhere. "Say something. You started this. Drop your take." But 50. He stayed just ambiguous enough to keep people guessing. And that made it worse. Because now people were reading between the lines. Trying to decode meaning that may or may not even be there. Meanwhile, blogs picked it up. Headlines started forming. Family rift goes public. King Harris speaks out. Fans divided over viral moment. And once blogs get involved, the reach multiplies. Because now casual viewers, people who weren't even following the situation, started seeing it. And reacting to it. Which added even more voices. More opinions. More chaos. Then came the influencer breakdowns. Long-form videos. Everything you missed. The truth behind the clip. What they're not telling you. Each one adding a new angle. A new theory. A new interpretation. And suddenly, this wasn't one story anymore. It was multiple narratives happening at the same time. One saying this was discipline. Another saying it was control. Another saying it was misunderstood. And another saying, this is just the surface. But the moment that really kept the tension high came from a live stream. A popular commentator went live and said, "I've seen situations like this before, and trust me, when it gets this public, it means something deeper already broke privately." That line hit different. Because it didn't accuse. It didn't confirm anything. But it implied something. Something bigger than what people were seeing. And that's what kept everyone locked in. Because now the conversation wasn't what happened. It was what led to this. And even more importantly, what hasn't come out yet. Because if everything we've seen so far has already divided the internet like this, what happens when the full story drops? And based on what insiders are hinting at, that full story might change everything all over again. And just when it felt like the situation had reached its peak, when the internet had already chosen sides, broken everything down, and replayed every clip 1,000 times. That's when the final twist hit. And this one, nobody saw coming. Because late, real late, while most people thought the conversation was starting to cool down, a new leak surfaced. Not a video. Not a tweet. Something way more dangerous. An alleged audio file. Unconfirmed. Unverified. But clear enough to shake everything all over again. Now the moment it dropped, people hesitated. Because after everything that had already circulated, fans were skeptical. But then they pressed play. And what they heard changed the tone instantly. The voice, allegedly King Harris, sounded different. Not loud. Not confrontational. But controlled. Measured. And the words. They didn't sound like someone reacting in the moment. They sounded like someone reflecting. In the clip, the voice allegedly says, "I wasn't even mad about that night. It was everything before it." That one sentence. It froze the internet. Because now the focus shifted again. This wasn't about one incident anymore. This was about history. Pattern. Build up. And then came the line that made everything feel heavier. People think it's about respect, but it's really about control. There it was again. That word. Control. The same theme that had been hinted at in messages, clips, and reactions all along. But hearing it directly hit different. Now here's where it gets even more intense. Because seconds later in that same audio, another voice allegedly comes in. Older. Calmer. And people immediately started speculating. Is that T.I.? The voice says, "You don't understand the weight of this name yet." And just like that, everything got quiet online. Because if that audio is real, that's not an argument. That's a mindset. A clash of perspectives. One side talking about identity, the other talking about legacy. And those two things don't always align. But here's the twist that flipped everything upside down. Because shortly after that audio started trending, a second post appeared. From a page that had been silent this entire time. And the caption. Simple. Too simple. You're hearing one side. Attached to it, nothing. No video. No audio. Just that sentence. But the timing. Suspicious. Because now people started questioning everything again. Was the leaked audio complete? Was something edited out? Was there context missing, just like with the original clip? And suddenly, the entire narrative became unstable. Again. Because now, instead of clear sides, there was doubt. Was King exposing truth? Or was he reacting emotionally? Was T.I. controlling? Or protecting something bigger? And then came the final moment. The one that left everything hanging. Because just before going completely silent online, King Harris posted one last message. No video. No explanation. Just text. It read, "I said what I said, but I ain't said everything." That line. That's what sent chills through the internet. Because it didn't close anything. It opened more. It suggested there's more. More context. More truth. More things that haven't come out yet. And if what we've already seen caused this much chaos, what happens if the rest drops? Because now the question isn't just about what happened. It's about what's still hidden. And who's willing to reveal it first. Because one thing is clear. This story isn't over. Not even close. And if you've made it this far, then you already know, this isn't just another internet moment. This is one of those situations that's still unfolding in real time, and what happens next could completely flip everything we think we know. So now I've got to ask you. Who do you believe? Do you think King Harris is finally speaking his truth after staying quiet for too long? Or do you think T.I. is doing what any father would do, protecting his legacy, his family, and everything he built? And what about 50 Cent? Is he just trolling like always? Or is he intentionally adding fuel to something way deeper behind the scenes? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Don't just scroll past this, because the conversation happening down there is just as wild as the story itself. I'm talking debates, theories, breakdowns, people catching things others completely missed. And trust me, some of the best insights are coming straight from viewers like you. Also, if you made it this far, you already know we don't just cover surface level drama. We break down the hidden layers. The leaks. The stuff people try to ignore. So go ahead, hit that like button if this story shocked you even a little bit. Subscribe right now if you want updates the second something new drops, because let's be real. If more audio leaks, if that full footage actually surfaces, or if ANY of them respond again, you're gonna want to know immediately. And one more thing before you go. Keep your eyes on this situation. Because the way this ended, it didn't feel like closure. It felt like a warning. And if what King hinted at is true, the next reveal might not just change the story. It might expose everything.